The will to resist, soldiers who refuse to fight in Iraq and Afghanistan. Some would say, oh, that's anti-patriotic. Well, they're getting the military trained right now to take on the United States population. I mean, our government openly, the head of the Naval War College, Thomas Barnett, professor, gets up on C-SPAN and says they worked for Wall Street and foreign banks. I mean, it's a big joke to these guys. They're not patriotic. They don't care about America. They care about the New World Order. And Pat Tillman saw him growing the poppies and gardening it and killing people and wrote letters home he was going to go public, and they murdered him. And that's now come out. And they'll murder anybody else with private lynch. Turned out she cowered in fear. A couple other soldiers fought off the Iraqis. They wanted to have a poster child for women to join, so they killed a bunch of her unit that survived. They'd kill them at their houses in Phoenix, kill them at their houses in Wyoming. I mean, these are killers. Not to mention all the murder, the slaughter, the billions of dollars and pallets of cash given to the troops to corrupt them, the mercenaries. Dahr, I've talked to troops recently back from Iraq. They say it's just sewage everywhere, collapsing society, absolutely hellish. You've been there. Lancet says over 1 million dead Iraqis. What is the true state of Iraq?
Well, it's a catastrophic situation, and those aren't just my words. Those are the words of the World Health Organization, several UN reports, International Committee for the Red Cross has alluded to that fact, and certainly the Red Crescent Society there. Again, you know, the people are, the country's been completely destroyed, and they've been looted. Their resources are being privatized by the puppet government, in direct cahoots, of course, with the U.S. government, and, you know, it's basically they're left in a situation where there's literally, according to the WHO, less than 1 out of 3 Iraqis now even have access to safe drinking water. Unemployment is completely through the roof, anywhere from 40 to 70% on any given month. And the average home in Baghdad has about 2 hours of electricity per day. So it's really, again, as I've talked with you on your show before, it's an unlivable situation, and it's as bad today as it was even a few years ago at the height of the bloodletting. And, you know, of course, it's getting less attention now in the corporate press, but, you know, the average life for the average Iraqi today is one of a matter of survival on a day-to-day basis.
So it's total siege. It's genocide. It's post-industrial eugenics world. Exactly what State Department Memorandum 200, penned by Kissinger in 73, said, using war, using famine to cull that population.
Well, that certainly the facts on the ground would back that up, because, you know, it is economic warfare, and I think it's really, you know, the most, you know, poverty would be, you know, the stark poverty there, where there was an Oxfam International report that came out a little while back that it said that 45% of Iraqis are living in abject poverty on less than $1 per day. Meanwhile, thanks to the shock doctrine economics of Paul Bremer, instituted in the Bremer Orders in the first year of the occupation, where they changed the economic laws of the country, they basically instituting an immediate depression across the entire country. And this is all extremely well documented, showing that, you know, and now we're looking at the after effects of that. There's been no improvement, no change, except for things to get worse. So the average Iraqi is actually in far, far worse economic condition today than they were even under the genocidal economic sanctions of 12 and a half years that left over 1 million dead in that country.
And we're now 18 plus years into the genocide, into the culling, with Saddam Hussein's CIA operative told to attack Iran, told to go ahead and go into Kuwait by U.S. Ambassador April Gillespie. And the latest numbers from Lancet, I know that most numbers I see are over 1 million. Dahr, you study this intensely. What's the real numbers on the amount of dead from this genocidal war in the last 6.5 years versus the last 18?
Well, the most current numbers for the current iteration of the U.S. doctrine in Iraq, which would be the Bush invasion and occupation starting in March 2003. So from March 2003 to today, there's 2 studies that have been done that give us the most updated figures. One with the Oxford Research Bureau out of Oxford, England, shows 1.2 million Iraqis have been killed. And then there's another group here in the U.S. called Just Foreign Policy, and they have an ongoing tabulation, and they now have it between 1.3 and 1.4 million, and that's just since 2003. And then when we include the sanctions, that's another 1 million. million, and then when we include dead from the Iran-Iraq war, that's at least another million as well.
So this is approaching Pol Pot level killing.
Absolutely. We're well over 3 million at this point.
Yeah, that's what Pol Pot killed, 3 mil. They don't care about us either in America.
Are you concerned for the safety of your loved ones? Listen closely to this message from pepperspray.com. Every 22 seconds a violent crime is committed. America has changed, and your personal safety is your first priority. Be smart. Be safe. Trust pepper spray instead of your luck. Pepperspray.com is the only website you'll ever need for all of your non-lethal self-defense supplies. Pepperspray.com carries one of the largest assortments of pepper spray and personal safety products on the web. From big to small, we have it all. Pepper spray, mace, animal repellents, stun guns, and tasers. Pepperspray.com also carries a large assortment of products for personal, home, child, and pet safety. Enter SAFE in the coupon box and you'll receive a special discount off of your order. So what are you waiting for? Go to pepperspray.com. That's pepperspray.com or call 1-800-908-9988 today.
Listen to the radio.
All right, Dahr Jamail is our guest. Very brave investigative journalist, writing for Counterpunch and many other big publications. You can check out his website. We have it up on screen. It's dahrjamail.com. And his new book is The Will to Resist. We were just getting into these numbers. So between 1.2 and 1.4, just 3 years in, the Lancet British journal, which is totally nonpartisan, non-political, said over 600,000. And so you double that, it's 1.2 plus. This is an outrageous crime. And I know for good old boys sitting back at home, you know, it feels tough to beat up brown people and they like watching bombs blow up on TV. This is an incredible travesty. What does the Middle East and Central Asia think of Obama? Are they buying all his bull?
Absolutely not. You know, just like people in Iraq didn't buy the Bush propaganda about freedom and liberation and all of this nonsense. You know, when you're there and you have a front row seat watching your people decimated in front of you, watching your home destroyed, watching your country burn in flames, you know, and of course all the neighboring countries of Iraq that are getting all of the Iraqi refugees flowing into them, sharing all of their wonderful stories of what it's like to live under U.S. liberation. Yeah, they don't buy it any more than they buy, you know, Barack Obama talking about change and, you know, I'm going to make peace with the Muslim world and all of this while escalating Afghanistan, using more drones, bombs continuing to fall in all the countries that the U.S. is occupying there. So no, those words they fell flat there even before he took office.
Dahr, in the 5-6 minutes we have left with you, I want to talk about your book some, and then in closing, the most interesting thing you witnessed when you were in Lebanon during that war that you just fell right into the middle of. But your book, I like it because it's not just the image of our troops that want to go out and shoot some Iraqi kids for fun. Most of the troops I talk to know the war is a fraud, don't like it, but the attitude is, well, we got to at least stabilize it before we leave. They kind of suck them into that lie, or, oh, I got to take care of my buddies. But the vast majority in polls want to come home. That's why Ron Paul got more political contributions than even Barack Obama from the military wanting to get the hell out of there. So your book, break down the people you talk to, the stories you tell in this book, because it shows the other side of the U.S. military.
Well, it really underscores the fact that, as you just said, the majority of troops in both these occupations are all for coming home because they're seeing firsthand that, you know, it's not a helpful situation to anyone involved in it. In fact, it's extremely destructive. And I basically I was on tour for my first book, and I started running into lots of veterans and active duty troops that were talking to me about, hey, our morale was extremely low, and we started dissenting and finding ways to disobey orders, even if it was indirectly. So doing things like search and avoid missions instead of search and destroy, where they would go and park their Humvees in the middle of the field and call in every hour and say, yeah, we're still searching the field for weapons caches. And they were doing this every other day. And then I ran into other soldiers, same story, different parts part of the occupation of Iraq, a different time of the occupation, totally different location, same exact story. So I started to realize, actually there's a lot of dissent. And then, dozens and dozens of interviews later with different veterans and active duty personnel, I had more than enough material for a book, probably enough for 2 books of, folks doing, publicly refusing orders to deploy here in the States to go back over. Folks that are over there, what are they doing to get out of it? Entire companies and platoons, that have actually had mutinies and refused to follow their orders in Baghdad and things like this. So, these are people, this is not just they're doing it out of survival mode or sloth or whatever, but these are people really standing up and defending the Uniform Code of Military Justice that they swore an oath to, and that is that they are refusing to obey illegal orders. It's a given to anyone with any gray matter between their ears that the occupation of Iraq is illegal. It contravenes international law, as did the invasion, but so does the invasion and occupation of Afghanistan.
Well, all the studies show that the U.S. forces being there only make it worse.